Depending who you ask, spirituality will either be the greatest discovery of mankind or an absolute scam, right? And when I say discovery, I'm not talking about something that you go out there and find. I'm talking about something that you discover from within, right? There's some who will tell you that finding who they truly were or finding out and rediscovering their true identity was the most life-changing experience that they have ever had. And on the other side, you'll have the person who will tell you that it is fraud, it's not real, it's all in your head. Now, which one of these two parties is correct? Who is correct? Is it the one who says, I have discovered the spirit that dwells within me. I am one with all of life. I have discovered the creator's essence within the very fiber of my being. Is it that person or the one who says, cap, right? Now, depending on when you asked me within my experience, I would have told you either or, right? I found myself in both camps and sometimes caught in between both. Where I was thinking to myself, wow, I am having these real experiences that I can't necessarily reason myself out of, right? I can't use quote unquote rational thinking to explain these things. But then on the other side, I'm like, well, maybe all of it is just in my head. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Well, let's break this down. And I'm not going to give you guys a super scientific type of message today. We're just going to get into the bare bones, real basic type message, which is why is it that some believe that spirituality is a scam? Well, first and foremost, we haven't always done the best job as teachers to explain exactly what we're talking about or to make these concepts grounded and tangible. Now, yes, of course, now we have more and more individuals who are grounding it, right? The Joe Dispenzas of the world who you can listen to and be like, I get what that means and I get the steps I need to take in order to get that result. And I think that's what was missing, right? In most cases, when you came out of the religious space, you were just told believe, 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 believe. And you think to yourself, okay, I'm believing, I'm believing. I think I'm believing. Am I believing? What is believing? Then you think to yourself, I don't think I ever believed. But when you get into the, let's say, the scientific method of things, right, you start to realize that belief or faith, quote unquote, has a process. There is a process to belief, which most people in these circles don't actually have an understanding of. They either have not been exposed to this information or they don't care to have it. They just want things handed to them. They want things super easy, packaged right here in this book. Bam, you're welcome, right? So let's take that concept of belief. Belief is nothing more than a thought and an emotion that is repeated over and over again. So your thoughts produce emotions, right? And if you have that constant cycle, if you repeat it enough times, it's eventually going to become what we call a belief, which is it is ingrained. It is now an automated part of you. And as you probably know by this point, your beliefs dictate your life because you act from a place of your belief system or the stories that you tell yourself. So if you're looking to create a belief, you create a thought and produce an emotion in the body through that thought, and you do it over and over again, right? Multiple repetitions of that thought until it becomes the dominant thought. So if you look at the beliefs we hold now, whatever they may be, whether they're beliefs that serve you or do not serve you, what you will find in the in-between world is every single belief started with a thought that was obviously produced, or not obviously, but that was produced by either somebody saying something or you witnessing and seeing something in a certain way and perceiving in a certain way, right? So you had something that triggered a thought within you, and that was repeated over and over and over and over until it became your belief. So if you have a scarcity mentality or poverty mentality, right? You had ideas and concepts fed to you about poverty and scarcity and a lack of abundance for so long that you just believed in it. Yet, does it mean it's a truth? Absolutely not. How do I know? Because there are some who are living in abundance and some in scarcity. Now, the blame game would like to say, well, it's the system's fault and it's the institution's fault and it's the president's fault and it's your fault and it's his fault and it's her fault. It's my ex fault. It's my mama. It's my daddy's fault. It wants to look for anybody to blame besides going within and saying, wait, I have a flawed belief. Let's reevaluate this thing, right? So that's just one concept of belief. And I think if we just had that one, and people, instead of being told like just believe, just have faith, we're told what that process is and also why, right? That matters just as much, if not more so. Why should I believe? So there's a result that you're looking for, right? Most people, they run to a religious doctrine because they're looking for a solution. They have been told that in this book, in this building, within this person's words, you are going to find something that is going to improve your life, or at least change or shift your experience in a positive direction, right? That's what it's really about. If we just got to the core of it, it's like, why do people run to a religion or run to a certain belief system? Why do people run to an ideology? It's because they're looking for an improvement in their life through that ideology. And so when we start to really just investigate that, right, just look at that objectively as possible, then we can say, okay, so that means if I am looking for a belief system, then I must be convinced of why this thing is going to be better for my life and how it's going to improve my life. And this is why I start drawing this kind of, I guess, this entire concept and idea of like woo woo, right? I'm trying to really eradicate woo woo because there's nothing truly woo woo. Like, think about life. We're living in a gaseous ball that is floating in the middle of outer darkness, rotating around a fireball. Like, that's our actual right now reality, right? We know that without a shadow of a doubt that we are living in this gaseous ball that is rotating around a fireball in the middle of outer darkness. If you wanted to get woo woo, there's woo woo for you, right? So I'm really trying to demystify this for us so we can realize that no, spirituality actually is not a scam. It's just how it's presented. Some people just literally don't have the depth, and other people are, trying to get one over on others, right? But I'm not going to get too deep into them right now. I might make an entirely different video. So let me know, by the way, in the comments if you want me to start exposing some of these things that are taught by, I guess you would say, false teachers, false prophets, false gurus, etc. Let me know and I will get into it. Not to slander people. I'm not doing this. I'm not making this a gossip channel. It ain't going to be a drama channel. It's just to show you how certain people can create these mystical ideologies, right, with no grounding in order to benefit themselves and not everybody else, and how it hurts the truth about spirituality. Because at the end of the day, spirituality, all it is a recognition that you're a spirit first. You're a non-physical entity having a physical experience. That's what spirituality is about. That the unseen part of you is more real than the seen part of you, or is in command and in control of the seen part of you. And that's obvious if you see an inanimate body, right? A lifeless body. You realize that the body's still there, but where's the thing that animates it? Where's the thing that gives it life? It's no longer there. Boom, proof. So let's get back to this point that I was illustrating, which is when you get yourself to a place where you're like, okay, I'm looking for something to believe in, right? I think it's only fair to say this is the results that you're going to get. So this is where some of these religions and, different doctrines and teachings, whether it's claiming to be religious, spiritual, or secular, right? Many of them will entice you with this messaging of like what's to come after, right? This afterlife, like later on you're going to get all these rewards, but right now it's going to suck. So just expect the suck right now, and then one day down the road, all the way down the road, one day you're going to get this reward, right? And that's how they get the hook, line, sinker going on. So right now, things will probably suck. You're going to go through it. You're probably not going to get what you want. You'll pray for things, but it's not going to come. You're going to ask for things, but, and then it also says, if you pray, it will be answered, but that's for another time. Anyway, you get this conflicting messaging, and because people are so desperate, they say to themselves, well, damn, if I can't have it here, then okay, I'll just wait until the next one. Now, I don't know anything about the next one. I know everything about, well, not everything. I know a lot about this one. And I know about this one is there are ways in which you can get the things you desire in this one that are process driven and practical, straightforward. If I want a tree, I plant seed, I water seed, give seed enough sunlight, it becomes tree. I know that without a shadow of a doubt, that if I plant that seed in good soil, it's going to become whatever seed that it is, right? Apple seed going to produce apples, right? Avocado seed produce avocado. Like, I know that without a shadow of a doubt. It's just if I build a business in a certain way, if I develop relationship skills in a certain way, I'm going to get certain byproducts of that. Now, where this spirituality element starts getting real fuzzy is when they say, again, it's going to be later down the road, or sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. And that's when people start saying, man, this is a scam. This ain't real. It's fake. I've been praying all my life. I've been doing this and that. And this also has to do with working in opposition to natural law or universal principle as opposed to working with the principles, right? It's like, again, the principle of sowing and reaping is a natural law, just like gravity is a natural law. Now, when we start getting into like the law of vibration, which has been proven time and time again and shows itself in all of life, now we start blanking out all of a sudden, right? The law of attraction, that like attracts like. Go figure, right? Like attracts like. That's nuts to me. How could like attract like? That is just so mystical and woo. I don't understand. It's like the most practical stuff sometimes we make it so mystical, right? But nevertheless, we find ourselves in a place where we're saying to ourselves, okay, I'm not getting the results I want. I'm not getting this. I tried this, but it didn't work. Not realizing that there are fundamental principles in the back of those things that are either being operated within or outside of, right? If I try to plant a seed in the sky, it will not grow. I am going against natural order and natural law. It will not grow. I promise you that. Unless there's going to be some revolutionary contortion of reality or whatever, maybe it's just not going to grow. And so in the same way, if I am begging or if I'm putting out the energy or frequency of begging and neediness, then I am not going to receive the thing I desire, because needy is not a like energy to having. That's where, again, some folk get just real wacky. Oh, whoa, this is getting too crazy. But look, just listen. If I went into a relationship and I was begging and begging and pleading and begging and pleading, is that an attractive energy? It's that simple. Now, some of y'all would say, well, it depends. No, that is not an attractive energy. Somebody begging and pleading. You think to yourself, your ego says, oh, I'd love somebody begging and pleading for my attention. But at a certain point, you'd be like, this is too much. This is too much, right? So energetically speaking, like attracting like, if you are in a needy space, you are only going to attract more need. I know it sounds unfair because mama showed you different, right? You begged and pleaded and mama gave you milk. You begged and pleaded and mama gave you a toy. You begged and pleaded and daddy maybe gave you whatever it is that you wanted at that moment in time. That's not how universal law, universal principle works. You beg, you plead, you cry, no answer. Why? Because you are not in the state of consciousness or the state of frequency. You are not in vibrational harmony with the thing or the experience that you desire. Now, if you want to debunk me on frequency, vibration, etc., go talk to any physicist, just a regular physicist, and ask them, is there such thing as frequency vibration, right? Like, what do you think is connecting your phone to anything? What do you think? Do you think there's a wire connected? I mean, I don't. If you thought there's a wire, you're a scam. You a scammer. There is nothing tangible or something that I can perceive that is connecting this phone to all these different apparatuses, whether it's the internet or the satellites, etc. All of that is the unseen. It's frequency, and that's where, again, many people get caught up with the spirit, because we're so used to being caught up in what's called like Newtonian physics, which is the tangible, right? We need to make the shift to quantum physics, which is the intangible, which is actually more prevalent than the tangible. And we know that because we have thoughts, we have emotions, we have imagination, and you can't quantify that. I mean, now we can monitor it in different EKGs and this, that, and the third, but we can't quantify it in the same way where I can say, I see this thing with the retina of my eye, that I'm perceiving this camera, I'm perceiving this laptop. Yet it is more real than anything. When you have an emotion or when you have a thought, it is as real as the thing happening itself. Sometimes it feels more real and it is more intense on the body. Isn't there something to be said for that? So, yeah, I really just wanted to get into this one to say, is spirituality a scam? And my answer is obviously absolutely not. Saying spirituality is a scam is like saying you're a scam. Your existence is a scam, that your existence is not real. And if you believe that your existence is not real or a hologram, you're actually more woo-woo than I could ever be, right? Because I can't prove that, but maybe it's a possibility that you're already in the Matrix. You are already in a hologram. You're already in Apple's 27th version of those Vision Pros, and now we're just recreating ourselves. Maybe, but I'm not going to say, oh, yes, for sure. I'm only going to speak on the things that are certain, the things that have been proven scientifically time and time again, right? They've used the scientific method over and over again to get to this place where they know these things check out every single time, right? Cause and effect. Thought produces X effect. Emotion produces X effect. Action produces X effect. So that's where I said I wasn't going to get scientific. I can't help myself. I lied. I was a scam in that moment. I completely lied. I got scientific on y'all. But if you really just deep this message and you take a deep dive into the things that I was sharing and explaining, it's not really that perplexing and confusing. Sometimes it's just new verbiage that we get, right? But once you get used to the verbiage, it becomes very evident to you. And if you're like somebody who's more image based, you can see the image. If you're more sonic based, you can just hear this and it's resonating with you, whatever way you need necessary just to understand these fundamental truths and to allow them to work within your life. Now, completely unrelated, but I do want to shameless plug my first published book, Doing Me Guilt Free. Now, this is my original manuscript, so you're going to be getting a smaller version when you purchase yours. Hypnosis, when you purchase yours, when you purchase yours, when you purchase yours, when you purchase yours. Yeah, so when you get your copy, it's going to be a smaller copy, the one you can put in your bag, purse, this, that, and a third, right? Doing Me Guilt Free, breaking free from people pleasing and unleashing your personal power. Love you guys. Peace.